Welcome to DLA Dialogues, Factory to Foxhole, the podcast where we dive into DLA's mission and mindset. I'm your host, Jake Boyer. Today we're talking about cybersecurity and its critical role in protecting our supply chains. Joining me is Linus Baker, Director of Cybersecurity for DLA Information Operations. Linus, welcome to the pod.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let's get started at the beginning. For our listeners who may be new to cybersecurity, can you explain what a cyber threat is in the context of DLA's mission?
Well, it can come in a number of factors or forms, I should say. You obviously have your nation state threat actors, right? And then you have your criminal organizations, which are made up of hackers, and their ultimate goal is monetary. And so those threats take advantage of vulnerabilities. So vulnerabilities that have exploit available to them. So from a DLA perspective, bad actors in the way of nation state threats and criminals, they present challenges to DLA and its IT operating environment.
Okay. Why, for DLA in particular, is cybersecurity so important?
Well, because IT is omnipresent in DLA in terms of our mission, our combat support mission. Everything we do in DLA, every supply chain, every business process is enabled by IT. So the availability, the integrity of the data we rely on is critical in DLA being able to fulfill its mission in support of the warfighter.
What are some ways our adversaries have tried to target our systems? Is it still phishing and spear phishing and whale phishing, or is there more sophisticated things happening out there?
Well, what I will tell you is that social engineering in the way of phishing and whaling, spear phishing, those are the most common ways that bad actors have targeted DLA. There's been some probing, scanning type activity, external. Those things are we're on the wire 24/7 and we see them. I think the most dangerous thing is the social engineering aspect, right? It's the unknowing user who unwittingly gives information to a bad actor, and that's why we champion a phishing program at DLA. We have had that program for the last 17 years, right? So it's a program where every DLA user is exposed to that phishing program in the way of live exercises where we send out phishing emails to test our users' knowledge and awareness. And I think it's helped us as an agency. It's kind of given them the exposure to that real type of threat. But I will tell you what has been true for the last 30 years is that users present the biggest challenge, right? You can have the most advanced technical and operational, controls in place. But at some point, if a user is not allowed to use a capability, the capability is useless. So that user has to be trusted, right? Not just from an integrity perspective, but trusted with an operational aspect of understanding not to click on links in random emails that are not digitally signed. Just a simple thing like that.
Can you walk us through a scenario where a cyber attack could affect something like fuel distribution?
A cyber attack could affect fuel distribution, absolutely. So we have a number of capabilities that enable fuel distribution as well as actual fueling, right? At some of our supply points. And a lot of these systems leverage operational technology. So operational technology it's a system in which mechanical functions are driven by that system's processes, right? So it's not like an IT system. An IT system really is a system that leverages information and does something with the information, right? Processes, stores, transmits. That's what IT does. OT is a bit different. It's operational, meaning there's some mechanical function that's being driven by that capability. And so we have some of those that are critical as it relates to fuels and energy. And so, when we talk about exploit of those capabilities, it's a double-edged sword in some cases, right? It's typically legacy type of technology, meaning older technology. And so that older technology in some ways provides you some protections because in many cases, that technology is not on a network. It's not forward-facing to the internet. It's not even on the NIPRNet. It's sometimes on a closed network. So there's a double-edged sword in terms of it doesn't have the same level of exposure, but bad actors tend to have greater exposure to that type of system in terms of its vulnerability because it's older. It's typically not continuously monitored, right? It's typically not maintained as well. And so a bad actor could simply plug a thumb drive with malware on it into a port for one of those systems, one of those gauging systems. Plug a thumb drive with malware in it on one of those gauging systems, bring that system down, and then in a real world situation where fueling is necessary, now the gauges aren't working and everything now has to be done manually. So that's time. That's all kinds of things that could affect real world operations.
What would be the impact of cybersecurity in a contested logistics scenario? Like when we're talking about contested logistics, we're talking about a near-peer threat coming at us in all domains. So where does cybersecurity fit into our plan to be ready for that?
Well, and that's an interesting question because I think oftentimes people hear cybersecurity and they think of it as a way of stopping all threats, all threat actors from exploiting certain vulnerabilities. And I think that is true, right? So the first pillar of our cybersecurity framework is protect, right? So cybersecurity is key because it protects our ability to enable our mission through IT, right? That's our primary responsibility. Mm-hmm. But there are other parts to our cybersecurity framework, right? You've got protect, you've got detect, you've got respond, you've got recover. So I think the way I would like people to think about cybersecurity is it's twofold. I think cybersecurity from that vein of protect, detect, respond, and recover. And that consists of cybersecurity operations, cybersecurity management and support. We've got all forms of mission elements within cybersecurity. But cyber resilience, I think, is also, it doesn't get the same level of attention nor resourcing, but it should. And because I don't care how much you do from a cybersecurity perspective, bad actors are constantly finding ways around it. Mm-hmm. So at some point, you can expect one of the myriad of vulnerabilities you have to be exploited. If it hasn't already been exploited, meaning there probably is an advanced persistent threat already on our network, already in our systems. So how do we operate from an OODA loop mindset of the enemies within? So how do we operate knowing the enemies within, mm-hmm. right? The enemies within our boundary, how do we operate? How do we maintain our operations given that fact? And it's a cyber resilience perspective that I think we have to look at. We have to think about proactive ways of operating, right? Not only IT, but the business, right? If that enemy is within. And so I think it's the way we think about it and approach it. The term cyber resilience I know is not as clear as cybersecurity, but I think cyber resilience is so key here, right? I mean, and so we have to always look at ways to adjust how we operate, right?
So when you're talking about cyber resilience, it sounds to me like you're talking about what happens when the lights go out. If the enemy's in here and they've exploited, what happens when we lose the systems we're relying on? Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
I think that's part of it. But I also think it's goes beyond just that. So yes, you're right. So right of bang, what are we doing, right? If a system's brought down, if data's contaminated and we can no longer trust it, what do we do?
Mm-hmm.
But I also think about it from the aspect of what if we do left of bang, knowing that we've got advanced persistent threats out there. What do we do? What type of opaqueness do we put around some of the things we do from an IT perspective?
So how are we prepared?
Yeah, well,
more so how we have prepared. I guess
correct,
is a better way
correct,
to say it.
correct. How have we planned and prepared and tested that? And I think as an agency, we're starting to do some of that more and more. You know, I've recently established what I call a cyber integrated planning element, which now is integrated with J3's Plexar group. So we're talking CUOps and FUOps, right? So, you know, contingency operations as well as future operations, right? So I know we've got some futures things going on, and my CIPE, that cyber integrated planning element, is a part of that. And that's our attempt to try to be proactive, to get out in front of this from a cyber resilience perspective. How do we make ourselves more resilient to a bad actor who may already be inside, as well as the left of bang or the right of bang result? So it's that mindset, right? Now I will tell you, we work very hard to protect DLA, right? We apply as much advanced technology and manpower we can. Smartest people we have are working this issue day and night. So I have cybersecurity operations. Our cybersecurity service provider is a 24/7 operation, right? We are on the wire 24/7. But oftentimes we will stop in a month. We stop millions of attacks externally, but all it takes is one.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So while my talented team does a lot of good work, I also know we need to prepare for that inevitability that you will not stop everything. We try, but I think the realistic way of looking at this is we got to prepare for that inevitability, that one time a bad actor succeeds.
Well, thank you. You've given us a lot to think about today. But before we wrap, got a little bit of a lightning round. So, Linus, tell us something about you that the rest of DLA may not know.
The rest of DLA may not know that, but they do. I mean, I'm a college umpire. I worked at the 2024 College World Series, which for a lot of people in DLA may not mean a lot. It means a lot to me. It's 20 years worth of work. One thing I would say is I'm compulsive. People may not know that, but so I have to be very cognizant of that because I have a number of things I have to manage. So I have to multitask, but I tend to be compulsive. So if I dive into something, I tend to get tunnel vision, and I'm a compulsive individual.
So you skipped ahead on me there a little bit there. So you've shared your kryptonite. What's your superpower?
Superpower, I just think my ability to be stern, right? My ability to communicate and to convey. I will tell you, it's been a value to me in DLA. I've been in a leadership position here in DLA since 2010. And so my ability to communicate, to convey concisely and clearly, it at verbal judo that I'm able to perform, especially, I mean, I'm an umpire. Think about that. I mean, I'm constantly in conflict with somebody. Somebody's not happy one way or another. And to be able to communicate clearly and be that cooler in essence, yeah, that's one of the things I think I'm very good at.
Linus, What do you love about your job?
That's an interesting question. I love the fact that we in DLA are direct contributors to the defense of our nation. There's direct warfighter support. I feel my job in DLA is important to that mission. It's an important element of ensuring that mission, and I love the stability of the organization I work in. I mean, I've been at DLA for more than 20 years.
Well, Linus, you really knocked it out of the park today. I hope our listeners feel like they've rounded the bases and understand cybersecurity. Remember, when it comes to cyber threats, don't get caught looking. For DLA Dialogues, I'm Jake Boyer. Remember, learning is a superpower. Use it wisely.